students on my caseload, last name H to O. We are going to record this meeting for people who are unable to attend. So we ask that you turn your screens off if you're not comfortable being recorded, and please keep yourself muted. I'm going to just chat for a couple minutes because typically we will have parents join us a couple minutes in, and we want everybody to see our entire presentation. Tonight's format is basically going to be, we're going to give you a rundown of the messages that we just gave to seniors. We had a senior assembly in the theater that ran about 70 minutes with a PowerPoint that is also posted in the Counseling Power School page. So if you have a parent Power School account, the Counseling Power School page is a link on the left of your child's Power School account. You can click there, and all the links that we're going to talk about are live in that presentation. But we wanted to just share the finer points of our senior assembly with you, so you know what your student heard about college and options after high school. So Morgan, do you have anyone else in the waiting room?
No.
Okay, so do you want to start?
Yep.
Okay, so while Morgan brings up our PowerPoint, we're super lucky to have our SDSU rep from San Diego State, Maria, here with us, and Kaylee is here from UC San Diego. So they will be presenting after us because the majority of our students are interested in applying to Cal State campuses, and San Diego State is a very popular local option for our kids and our students. UC, of course, is also a very popular option. So we wanted to invite these lovely ladies to present with us because their information is equally important. So here with me tonight is Morgan Cummins. He's the varsity baseball coach, and he has last names P through C. And Lindsay Goldman is also here with us, and she has students on her caseload, last names beginning with A and ending with G. And then we have Kristen Areno here with us, who is our dual enrollment and career counselor, who wears many hats at Coronado High and helps us with dual enrollment and all things career and community college wise. So we'll all be taking part in kind of explaining the PowerPoint that we showed your seniors a week ago. Next slide. So you skipped one, Morgan. So what we told your students is many seniors already came and met with us in late August or early September. But for those who haven't, we have links posted on the Counseling Power School page. You'll see those Calendly links up there on the screen. Those are links to our calendars. We have appointments for seniors before school, during lunch, during breaks, and after school. We encourage them to come see us when they have a free period or an elective because the 4x4 moves very fast and we don't want them missing academic time. And we are very casual with seniors stopping by if they need help. They are welcome to pop in whenever they need help. They don't necessarily need to make an appointment, but they can. But this Calendly link is specifically for seniors who have not seen us yet for help, and these appointments are a little bit more formal. They're 20 minutes long, and we basically go over grad requirements with them and kind of talk them through options after high school, help them with college lists, answer any questions they might have, because a lot of them have already started diving into the application process. Next slide. So the first thing that we talked about with seniors was, of course, tonight, which is a brief rundown of what we shared with your seniors last week in our assembly. We have college visits twice a day on campus. So at lunch in the CCC, our college reps that feel safe coming to campus during COVID, we have a rep every Monday through Thursday. And then all fall long, we run workshops in the CCC, which is our college and career center. It's like half a classroom right by the 400 building. And every Friday we run workshops on a different topic. So last week we did drop-in help for the Cal State application. We have a full list that students can access and we make announcements about it, but we're also doing a Common App workshop. We have Mr. Huang who teaches AP Lang, and we used to run the summer school class that we used to offer on doing college applications. So we're going to run an essay workshop. We're going to have a scholarship workshop. So we encourage seniors to drop in and get help on the topics that they're interested in. And we also have virtual college visits every day after school at 3:30 for the college reps that are not allowed or do not feel safe coming on campus. So there's 8 college visits every week, and we're really excited about that because last year we really didn't have a robust offering for seniors to meet with colleges because COVID was in full swing. So this is just a list of some of our upcoming workshops that I was just talking about. Again, these are on Fridays. We have guest help for a lot of these. The application, Kaylee will be joining us on Friday, so we'll be helping kids who have questions about the UC app. Okay, next slide. When we met with the seniors, we just kind of went over graduation requirements. They've heard us talk about this so much in the past 4 years that we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but it is important for them to know what they need to graduate. But of course, we've already made sure that they're in everything that they need to graduate, the classes that they're in this year, to make sure that they have enough credit. So that's what this slide's about. And then very similar to graduation requirements are the A through G requirements for Cal State and UC schools. So a letter just applies to each academic subject area. A, corresponds to social science and so on. So kids are familiar with this. These college requirements are pretty much universal to any 4-year college, whether it's public in California, public out of state, or 4-year private in California or out of California. And then we are always reminding them that D will get you the credit to graduate, but colleges do not accept grades lower than C's.
All right, so my turn to jump in here. Thanks, Christine. For seniors at this point, you probably have already started your recruitment process, and hopefully you've already signed up with the NCAA. So really it should just be a matter of completing your 16 core classes and making sure your GPA is high enough to meet the eligibility. If you do happen to be very late starting the process, you will just need to make sure you sign up at the eligibility center and let me and Ms. Redding know so that we can upload your transcripts into the NCAA portal. As a counseling staff, it's really important for us to preach to our students that there's more options than just 4-year college. We want to make sure that everybody finds the right path for them. So we can discuss many different options in terms of what your students may have available to them upon graduation. Some students may want to start working right away and go directly to employment. We have a lot of students that are interested in going into the military, whether it's going to college and officer route first through a service academy, or whether they prefer to enlist right away. But we have many great resources on campus to help get students connected with a career in the military when they graduate high school. The technical and trade programs have kind of been swallowed up by the community college with associate 2-year program. So a lot of great options for students who don't necessarily want to spend 10 years getting a doctorate, but they want to spend 2 years and start working right away. So we have those options as well. Ms. Areno later on in the presentation is going to give some more information on community college and the benefits and options that students have by going to community college. And then, of course, what you're going to hear more tonight is the 4-year college options for our students who want to attend university right after high school. For our students who are interested in 4-year college options, the majority of our students apply to our public school system in California, which includes 23 CSU campuses, which Maria is going to be giving you more information about as she's the expert here. And the 9 UC or University of California campuses that students have the option to apply to. The UCs tend to be a little bit more competitive than the CSUs, but both have different application processes that we're going to get more into tonight. For students who are interested in going somewhere else, other sides our California public system, we have private schools in California. There are other public schools in other states. Most of them can be accessed through the Common App or through the Coalition app that we have on the next slide. So our students who are looking to apply to schools outside California, this is their best place to start because most other schools outside of California do accept either the Common App or the Coalition app. So we have the websites here that you can access through the PowerPoint if you have further questions about that. And I believe Mr. Reno is going to take over at this point.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. My name is Mr. Reno, and what's really important is the college list. So hopefully you and your student have already made this list with safety schools where your student is well exceeding the admissions requirements, match schools where it's about right, kind of right there meeting or exceeding the admissions requirements, and then a few reach schools, ones that they have a really big dream of going to or very low admissions rates. So we just want to really encourage students to have colleges in all of those buckets, just to make sure that they have plenty of options. And you can make your list through SCORE, and later Lauren's going to be going over all of that, or Lindsay's going to be going over all of that, the details for that. So the college visit, like Christine said, we have those in the College and Career Center. So please, please, please come to those. Miss Melina will send that out every Sunday with who's going to be there for the week. And then there's also a lot of virtual tours. So this presentation will be on the Power School page, the Counseling Power School page, as well as the website. So you can access all of these live links. The community college, so there's several reasons to attend. And we will have community college nights in the spring. We're hosting a community college workshop in November in the College and Career Center. So there's a lot of different programs that they do have, like Morgan was talking about, the cosmetology, the culinary. So a lot of those programs are in the community college. And the best thing about community college right now is that it's free for all students for the first 2 years in San Diego County. So, and mostly throughout the state, but especially through San Diego County. So it's a really great option, especially for students who are not quite sure what they want to do. So they can explore many different classes. They can stay at home, not that you necessarily want that, but they can stay at home. And also a lot of times it's the best direct route to the job that they want to do. So sometimes you just need a certificate to do a certain job. You don't need the bachelor's and the master's. So it's really depending on what they want to do. Also, there's amazing transfer programs. So direct transfer to San Diego State or UC's. There's a lot of transfer programs that we will be talking about in the nights coming up, focusing on community college. But there's a little video here of reasons to attend. And so we just really recommend that this could be a potential option for you, even if you end up wanting to get your bachelor's and master's down the road, but it could be a great start. And here's some links for each of the colleges that are local, and you can just click on those to learn more about that. Also, if you or your student have any questions with community college, feel free to reach out to me. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is dual enrollment. So we have dual enrollment through Southwestern College classes here on our campus. So we're having 4 this year in the spring. We're having business and cybersecurity. Business is currently full, but we do have cybersecurity spots, and it can be anytime throughout the day because it's online and asynchronous. So if your student wants to sign up for that, please have them email myself or their counselor so we can get them enrolled in that. And you can put it on your college apps now. So it's a really great opportunity to show that you're going to be taking a college class, and you can get high school and college credit for it. So it's a really great opportunity. So that's it for me. Lindsay's going to talk a little bit more about career profile through SCORE. So I highly recommend walking your student through that, making sure that they're taking those aptitude tests and fitting with a major and career that is best for them. So thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. Morgan, do you mind pulling up the PowerPoint again? So I'm going to walk you through just a couple of things with the four-year college applications. College test requirements, SAT or ACT, are not required and actually not used at all for the UC or CSU systems, which I know Maria and Kaylee may talk about. They are used for some private schools and out-of-state schools, but most colleges right now are test optional. But I would always make sure your students checking with their schools just to make sure that they know whether they need to take the test or not. Are you able to pull it up, Morgan, or do you want me
Make
to?
me the host again.
Huh?
Just
Sorry.
make me the host again.
Got it. Cool. And there's a website called fairtest.org that lists all of the schools and colleges that are test optional in the country. So it's a good place to check and see if your student needs to take the test or not. But that, like I said, the UCs and CSUs do not take SATs or ACTs. They're only using them for placement if your student is admitted, and then based on their test score, that can help them determine what English and math placement class would be best for them. Okay, thanks. Next slide. We have different types of application deadlines. Early, there are two main early types, early action and early decision. The biggest distinction is that early decision is binding. The student, parent, and counselor all have to sign a contract agreement that the student understands what that means if they do decide to apply early decision. So I would just caution them to make sure they're really confident about wanting to go to that school regardless of any financial aid they may or may not get. Early action is non-binding. They just hear back earlier. And then most other schools have a regular deadline, like the UCs and Cal States are November 30th for the most part. And then most other regular deadlines are usually between December to February, depending on the school. As far as letters of recommendation, which I'll also show you how your students can request that, most schools, private schools that use the Common App will want at least one teacher letter of rec. UCs and Cal States do not accept any letters of rec. Your student would request that through SCORE, and we just ask that they give their teachers and us at least one school month notice to work on the letter. For counselor letters, Christine Johnston and I have a parent brag sheet that we send to you that really helps us write a strong letter for your student. And Morgan, Mr. Cummins, likes to interview your students. So we all have our own processes for letters of rec. And we just ask that your student make sure they do need a counselor letter before asking us, because we each have about 100 seniors on our caseload. So that just helps us write a really good, thorough letter for them. Okay, financial aid. We do have an upcoming post 9/11 GI Bill parent night in November, and then a general financial aid night in December. So put those on your calendar. Like everyone said, this PowerPoint will be on PowerSchool, so you can check it out later. The biggest source of financial aid is the FAFSA. It's already opened. It opened last Friday. We strongly encourage everyone to fill it out, even if you think your family may not qualify for need-based aid. Some schools won't give merit-based scholarships unless you fill out the FAFSA. So definitely do that. It's open until March. It does require parent input for your taxes and student input as well. So it can take a little while to fill out. But that's the biggest source of financial aid. Okay, lastly, SCORE. This is the platform that we use for searching colleges, taking career inventories, sending letters of recommendation, and all of the college documents that we send to schools. So what I'm going to do is log in as a student really quickly. Okay, Morgan, you can make me host again. And I'll show you what it looks like from a student side. Students can actually invite parents if they so choose. And you can see the colleges that they're looking at. You can suggest colleges for them. Okay, let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so from a student's side, this is their My Colleges page. They can follow schools that they're interested in. They can mark them as like a reach, safety, match. Once they are applying, they would put the school under their applying to column. And then once they've actually submitted the application, so our student Adam Aardvark has already applied to San Diego State. He would put it in the applied column. If they need a letter of recommendation, there's application documents here. So this student has already requested a letter from Mr. Wong. It'll show them the date. And then once the teacher does upload their letter, they'll be able to see that it has been uploaded on their behalf. So there's a lot of cool stuff in SCORE. I can't show you all of it right now, but just quickly, if they're not sure what colleges they're interested in, there's a really extensive search here of tons of schools in the country and internationally, and they can filter by various factors that matter to them, like do they have D1 football? Is it public, private, religious? Do they have a ROTC program? So there's a lot that they can do in here. And then there is also career interest profilers that they can take under their My Profile page through a program called UScience, which gives them best fit careers and majors, which is really cool for students who aren't really sure like what their strengths are and what they're good at. So that's just a really quick rundown of SCORE. And now I'm actually going to turn it over to Maria, and I'm going to present for her because I think her Adobe's not working. So let me pull that up.
Actually, I was able to get it to
Oh,
work.
you got
One
it?
of my IT guys came through and
Oh,
he fixed
awesome.
it for me. So I was so
Okay,
thankful.
so I will stop and Morgan, you can make her host.
You can make me so since you're a host, Lindsay, hover
Oh, I
over
see.
my name and then you can make me co-host, and that way you don't lose host access.
For some reason, I think I have to make you host. But that's okay.
okay.
We'll just
Okay.
switch it over to you. Thanks so much, Maria.
No worries. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. Let me go ahead and get this this presentation up. Sorry, I just got my Adobe to work, so I'm like really excited for this because it just crashed on me, and of course, right when I need it, right? So welcome to SDSU virtually. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just do a quick overview about why you should choose SDSU, and then I'm actually going to cover Cal State Apply with you at the end, and then also provide you with an important resource for your student so that if they have any questions about the application itself, this wonderful resource is a step-by-step guide on the application here. So let's go ahead and get started with SDSU's general location. It's why we're a popular choice here for a lot of students. We're centrally located. The one thing that I want to point out here, though, is that your student can get a trolley pass / bus pass through SDSU at a discounted rate when they're an SDSU student. So it's definitely something that they could take advantage of. And we're the only four-year institution that has the trolley station come directly to campus. So please keep that in mind for your students. Next up, we are part of the California State University system. So right now we're the southernmost CSU, but we're actually the fourth largest in terms of student population. We have a lot of students here on our campus. So 34,000 students overall. 30,000 are undergraduates. They're going for their bachelor's degree. And then 4,300 graduate students that are going for a credential, master's, or doctorate program. As you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, your student's going to have over 200 academic degree choices to choose from, specifically 97 bachelor's degrees when they apply. So that is a lot of options for your students. A couple more things that I want to highlight here. We have a huge return here on investment, meaning that we are providing a lot of financial aid to our students. Ending up with the least amount of debt as possible is our goal here with SDSU. And we do have very, very highly ranked study abroad programs. So on a non-COVID year, we have about, I want to say 3,600 students each year doing a study abroad program, which is quite a bit out of the 30,000 undergrads that you saw there on the previous slide. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the majors here that we offer here at San Diego State. They are broken up into 7 academic colleges. And basically what an academic college is, it's a grouping of like majors. So you see the first 5 academic colleges here at SDSU, and then the second 2 here on this screen. So if you didn't see what you were interested there on the first screen, just note that there are more majors there on the other screen. Your student can also apply as undeclared. That is also an option there for your student. All majors at San Diego State are impacted, so including undeclared. What this means is that each and every single year, San Diego State's receiving more qualified applicants than we have spaces for, which does make our admissions process more competitive than other CSUs compared to, for example, CSU Channel Islands is a non-impacted campus. So if your student is meeting minimum CSU requirements, then it's a very good chance that they're going to get into CSU Channel Islands because it's a non-impacted campus. So with that being said, there are some factors that are included in our admissions review, which I'm going to get into here in just a few slides. And essentially what these factors include, now that we're not using the SAT and ACT test scores, is specifically additional factors under our multi-factored admissions review system. Oh, your baby's so cute, Lindsay. Sorry, I have 2 babies of my own, and whenever I see a baby, I can't help myself. So specifically, we are not using SAT and ACT test scores, and the application where your student will be able to apply to all 23 California state universities is calstate.edu/apply. So each campus, it does cost $70 per campus to be able to submit an application. Note though that if your family qualifies for an application fee waiver, which is embedded within the application, your family can qualify for up to 4 campuses for free. So the information is just basically taken from your household size, your household income, and then if you qualify, once again, it'll be used for up to 4 campuses. And each campus is going to give your student information to set up their portal where they're going to track the status of their application. Here it's called the SDSU web portal account. And essentially that's where your student is going to find out whether or not they've been admitted in March. So March is when those decisions start to go out, and it's on a rolling basis. May 1st is a pretty national commitment deadline. So for most colleges and universities, you have to let them know by May 1st, including San Diego State University. So essentially that does include a $400 non-refundable deposit. And it is the first time that we do request for official transcripts to be submitted directly to us. So that offer of admissions is provisional. So the student, when they are admitted in March, they're provisionally admitted into the university, given the information that they put down on that Cal State Apply application. As I mentioned, now that we're not using SAT and ACT test scores, we're implementing something called the multi-factored admissions review. The most important thing with this multi-factored admissions review is the major in which your student applies into, because essentially that's going to be their applicant pool. That's who they're going to be compared against. And if they're going for specific majors, STEM majors, then preference will be given to students that have really good grades in math and science, that are going above and beyond the minimum requirements for both math and science. So if your student is planning to apply to any one of the STEM majors, that's what we're talking about when it talks about that last bullet point here, preparation towards indicated area of study. Essentially, we want your students to be prepared into the majors that they're going to go into, specifically for STEM. We are also specifically looking at a very distinct GPA. So it's the approved A through G courses that your student completes typically during 10th and 11th grade years. So anything beyond the summer of 9th grade up until when the application is due, that is what your student can put down on the application, and that is what will be calculated into the CSU GPA. It is weighted. So if your student challenged themselves, they took some AP classes, some community college courses to fulfill those A through G requirements, then they're going to get up to an additional 8 points on that overall GPA. Your senior year, just as important. So we do have a very strict no D or F policy your senior year. Definitely no senioritis. Still do your best your senior year, because your offer of admissions could be rescinded, meaning that we take it away if you get any D's or F's your senior year. So please take senior year very seriously, although the GPA is not calculated. Once again, senior year is still very much considered. So essentially, the last additional factor that I'm going to mention here, although it's not on my slide here, is the fact that students coming from our local admissions area receive additional consideration when they apply. So the very fact that you're graduating from Coronado High School, that in itself gives you basically priority consideration versus a student that's applying for example, from Los Angeles or from Northern California. You get priority over those students because you're coming from SDSU's local admissions area. So once again, all majors are impacted. It is competitive for first-time freshman admission, but you still get priority consideration as a student graduating from Coronado High School. So let's say you want to do the community college route instead. Transfer to SDSU. That's another good way to get here. Just keep in mind though that SDSU only accepts upper division transfer students. So what that means is that you do need to complete at least 60 or more semester transferable units, typically no later than the spring before you intend on transferring for that fall term. And among the 60 units, 30 units need to be completed of general education courses. And just depending on which major you're going for, there's going to be a specific set of classes known as major prep. And each major has a different set of classes. So it's all going to vary depending on which major you're going for. So unlike first-time freshman admission, where you could pick undeclared, as a transfer student, you have to come in prepared, knowing which major you're going to go for and which major you're going to ultimately transfer into. So each major is going to have a minimum GPA that you have to meet and maintain. Essentially, what I just explained to you are the minimum transfer admissions requirements and the general transfer pathway specifically. There are 3 potential pathways that you can get into SDSU. There is a tag, a transfer admissions guarantee, which guarantees you a spot here as a transfer student so long as you're taking 100% of your coursework, your college coursework, at one or all 7 of our community colleges here that are local to SDSU, and you're also completing all the minimum transfer admissions requirements. As long as you're doing both, then you have a guaranteed spot with us here as a transfer student. We also have the ADT pathway, and this is a very awesome degree because this actually will guarantee you a spot at a non-impacted CSU. Since once again, San Diego State is impacted, you're going to get priority consideration when you apply with an ADT and also a 0.1 bump on your GPA. So if as a transfer student you're applying and your major has this pathway of an ADT, then you should earn that specific type of associate's degree. It's only awarded by California community colleges. So transfer students have a mandatory second application that they need to complete the year in which they apply. And if you're going for any one of these majors as a transfer student, please note that there are some additional requirements like an audition, submitting a portfolio, learning a foreign language. It just depends on which major specifically. So cost is another factor that I want to lastly discuss here on this slide. So basic tuition and fees is very affordable for San Diego State. It's currently $81.36 for the academic year. So if you break that down per semester, it's a little bit over $4,000 per semester to attend San Diego State. As a student coming from our local admissions area, you're not required to live on campus. So the typical on-campus food and housing, that's optional. If you decide to live on campus, it is on average about $19,000. And then you also have book supplies, personal expenses, and transportation costs that are on average $4,000. Or at least that's what our financial aid office calculated to be. In my opinion, that's a little high. I don't think I ever paid that much as a student, but that's what our financial aid office calculated it to be. So all in all, you're looking at the $81.36 for the academic year and any book supplies, personal expenses, or transportation costs that you might incur. Now, keeping in mind that at the same time that our application opened last Friday, so did the FAFSA application, so the free application for federal student aid. And you can use financial aid to pay for your college expenses, including book supplies, personal expenses, and transportation costs. So that free application for federal student aid is specifically for those of you that are US citizens or permanent residents. And if you are not one of those, then you can also qualify for the California DREAM Act application as well. So for those of you that are fellow dreamers out there. And then last but not least, you also have scholarships that are awarded through SDSU. So I encourage you to go to our scholarship website and take a look at what you qualify for now. You can definitely apply for external scholarships on our website, and then internal scholarships you'll be able to apply to once you've committed to the university. So I'm going to go ahead and actually not talk about housing. I'm actually going to, how am I doing on time? How am I doing on time, Lindsay? Am I doing okay? Okay, so I actually want to share some important links here for you all, and then also share my screen so that you can see the Cal State Apply application. So calstate.edu/apply is once again where you're going to find our application, and it's a very user-friendly application. You're simply going to be filling out 4 quadrants to the application. There is no personal statement, there is no essay, there's no interview questions, there's nothing of that sort. So when you're on this website, you're going to go down towards the middle of the page, make sure that you select the correct term, fall 2022, select apply. And then from here, you're simply going to create an account. So once again, this is the one application for all 23 California state universities. I want to go ahead and just show you what it looks like. So I'm going to enter in with my account here so that you can see, once again, just a little bit of what the application looks like and how user-friendly it is. There's 4 quadrants to the application here. The first quadrant being personal information, so just basically your demographic information. The academic history quadrant is where you're going to spend the majority of your time here on the application. You're going to be inputting all of the courses that you took, including your 9th grade and senior year courses. That's a common mistake that a lot of students make because they think, oh, it's the CSU GPA. It's only the 10th and 11th grade grades that they're calculating. So then I don't have to put in my 9th grade classes or my senior year classes. No, you do. You definitely do. Please make sure that you do that because once again, that is a common mistake. So under this academic history quadrant, especially if you're a student that completed college coursework, it's very important that under your A through G matching section, you manually match those courses to the appropriate category. Because if you don't, then that CSU GPA is not going to calculate correctly. So once again, it's very important that on this last section here, you manually and appropriately match those A through G courses. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. And then once again, throw in those helpful links here for you all in the chat so that you can go ahead and just click on it, bookmark it so that you can save this for future reference. So there's a few links in there. The first one is just the Cal State Apply application link. The second link is Cal State Apply help. So it'll give you a step-by-step guide on what to input onto that application. The third link is information about SDSU campus tours. We are offering in-person and virtual tours. So if you're interested in signing up, please visit that website. And then the last two links are going to give you information about how to apply as a first-time freshman or a transfer student. So with that being said, I think I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Kaylee, from UC.
Hello. If you could give me, I guess, can I share screen? Oh, or just enable it?
Let me see what I can. Actually, yeah, you should be able to
Make
share
your
screen now.
Okay, perfect. So is that showing now? Yeah, okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Kaylee Martinez. I'm an admissions officer at UC San Diego, and I'm serving your high school and a little bit of others in the San Diego area this school year. So I'm just going to quickly give you some information, and then if there's any questions, let me know in the chat. So the first thing I want to cover is our majors. There's tons of majors for everyone across 8 disciplines at UC San Diego. I do want to point out, though, on the right side in the blue text, those are our capped majors. And so we touched on that a little bit. Capped majors just means that we have way too many applicants, way too many students interested in these different fields, these different programs than we have room for. So they are going to be a little bit more selective just because we don't have the capacity to hold as many students who want to go into these fields. So it's biological sciences, data sciences, computer science is like really hot right now. Everybody's super interested in it, engineering, physics, and public health. So what we want you to do on the application, if you are interested in one of these capped programs, so let's say computer science, for example, you're going to indicate that as your first choice major on the application. This is for the UC application, so whether it's UC San Diego or any of our other campuses, it's going to give you the option to also pick an alternative major. And so what basically that's going to kind of give you the safety net that just in case we want to offer you admissions to UC San Diego, but we don't have room for you in the computer science program or in any of these capped majors, then we might be able to offer you a seat in a different major that's uncapped. So an alternative major. So something I've seen students do, for example, for computer science, our mathematics department is not capped, and our mathematics major has a specialization in computer science that students can possibly explore as a second choice. So you could be applying computer science and then worst case get accepted into the mathematics with the computer science specialization major. So just a little heads up for that. The next thing I like to talk about a lot is our college system. UC San Diego has a very unique college system. You won't see this at other universities. So it's very important I make sure that you understand this for your application. So you're going to see in your application, you're going to be asked to rank our colleges 1 through 7. And think of UC San Diego as one big city. We are a fairly large campus. So we're one big city, and the college that you're going to be accepted into is going to be like your neighborhood, like your little home on the big city that is UC San Diego. So this is where you're going to live. This is where you're going to live with roommates who are in the same college. Your academic advisors are going to be specific to this college, but your college has nothing to do with your major. So you can be in any college, any major. And that's something I really want to make sure our students understand, because it might be a little bit difficult when you're looking at it. You might see that some of the college philosophies align a little bit more with maybe science or maybe humanities, but you are open to choose whatever college you want to be in. And so a good way to compare them, I like to show this is did my screen switch? Okay, so I will drop this in the chat. This is my favorite tool to compare the colleges. So you'll see on the top, John Muir celebrating the independent spirit. So that's the philosophy of the college. And the biggest part of your experience at UC San Diego is going to be with these general education classes that coincide with your college. So you'll be taking it's usually about 2 years of GEs and then 2 years of your major requirements. So they're two separate things you have to fulfill to graduate. So this is super important. I remember when I did my UC San Diego application, I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wasn't even paying attention. So I really like to point this out because the classes that you're going to take in the college do have a big impact on your experience at UC San Diego, because you do have to fulfill all of these that coincide with the college. So definitely take some time to look into this. I know one thing students point out, Revelle College requires a language other than English. So if taking your foreign language in high school, you really liked it, then maybe you're going to like it again in college, or maybe you just really didn't love it. So you might not want to be in Revelle College, if that makes sense. So you're going to rank those 1 through 7, 1 being your top choice. We're usually always able to get you into one of your top 3, so don't worry about it too much. And if you have questions about that, let me know. Just a little snapshot of the university. So we have almost 32,000 undergraduates on campus, which is the main reason for our college system. It's so we can give you a little bit more of a home, a space, comfort while you're on our campus. So in your college, you're going to be able to mingle with others who are in different majors, but they're taking the same general education classes as you. And that's how you're going to be able to make those connections and kind of feel at home on our campus. And about 2/3 of our campus is first years and the rest are our transfer students. And just a little bit about student life. There's tons of other things to do on campus besides your academics. Like I'm sure you're used to your high school being involved in sports, extracurriculars, anything like that. You get to do all that at UC San Diego as well. We recently went into D1 for our sports. So that's been really fun for our students to get out there and support any athletes that they're friends with, or even if you are interested in being an athlete and looking at that. We do have intramural teams as well if you just want to play for fun, keep up a hobby of a sport you really love. And I want to talk about our Sun God Festival. That's one of our biggest events on campus. Hasn't been happening obviously with the pandemic, but hopefully we'll bring back all these campus-wide events. It's basically a free concert for UC San Diego students, and we usually have someone pretty popular like in the music industry at the time. So that's something to look forward to, especially for seniors that are starting next fall. Hopefully things will be back up and running. I'll quickly touch on requirements. I'm sure you've heard this a lot and we just covered a little bit earlier. So your A through G courses, your GPA, same thing as the CSUs that were being talked about. We look at your 10th and 11th grade courses for your GPA. So those A through G courses that you take between 10th and 11th grade, that's what's going to be your GPA for UC. You already heard no SAT, ACTs. That's really exciting news, kind of like a good relief, I think. But I do want to talk about a little bit more factors that we consider on the UC application. So we're looking at you holistically as a student. We are looking at your GPA and your A through Gs, of course, but we want to know more about you as a person and who you are, who would be coming to our campus essentially. So we're looking at the rigor of the classes that you're taking. So if you have the option for those AP, IB, any honors, college courses, I know was touched on a little bit. If you're able to take advantage of those opportunities, your honors, your awards, any type of extracurricular, leadership, just anything outside of academics that you were able to be a part of, that's what we like to see and hear about on your application. So there's going to be a space for you to fill all of that out. it sounds weird to sit there and brag about yourself, but we're going to ask you to go outside of your comfort zone, sit there and brag about yourself, and definitely just show us everything that you did and who you are. And lastly, we have those personal insight questions. We want you to think of those as interview questions because we're not able to actually sit down and interview every applicant, but we want you to answer those questions like you would in an interview. So we're not looking for a perfectly well-written college essay that needs to be proofread a million times, looked over by your English teacher, anything like that. We just want you to genuinely answer the question and give it your most honest answer and how you kind of would answer in an interview. You only have 350 words on those questions, so very straight to the point. You'll find that it's hard to get down to that word count once you start going on answering a question. It's very limited in what you can write down, so you want to get straight to the point, answer the question, and show us who you are. So everything on the screen is what we consider in your application. It's a holistic review, and nothing weighs more than the other. So we look at everything equally and take in the whole picture. So that's just to give you a heads up about that. And just a little snapshot. This last year, we had almost 120,000 applications. We were able to admit about 40,000. So that puts us at about a 34% admit rate. That middle GPA right there, don't let that deter you. It's just showing you kind of what applicants are coming into UC San Diego. We absolutely admit above and below that GPA. So just to give you some transparency with how our applications are looking. And just a little bit about financial aid. Tuition is about $14,000. And then we were talking about earlier with Maria, those extra costs, the books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses. I've personally never paid that much either for books. Amazon is a great way to buy used books, even meeting someone who took the class before you. So there's a lot of ways to get those costs down. Transportation, exciting thing for UC San Diego. We are actually now going to be included in the trolley line here in San Diego. So next month, we're going to get 2 stops on campus from that trolley line extension. So that's going to be really exciting. It's going to cut down your transportation costs to get around San Diego and get to campus if you aren't going to live on campus. But be mindful about parking passes. That all comes into play as well if you do decide to not live on campus but commute. So you're really just looking at that tuition price. Housing and meals vary on if you're going to live on campus or live at home. So touching on financial aid, application is now open. You have until March 2nd. The UC system offers a great amount of financial support. About 70% of our students do receive some sort of financial aid. You will be eligible for the Blue and Gold scholarship if your family income is under $80,000 a year. So you will be automatically considered for Blue and Gold, which will cover your tuition. And that's just all through FAFSA or the California Dream Act. And just touching on the UC application. So it's already open. Don't worry if you haven't started it or open it. It's a pretty tedious application. We want you to take your time on it. So you can't even submit until November 1st. That's the first day you can press submit. And then you have until November 30th is your final deadline to get that UC application in. And you'll get your decision around mid-March. And then you have to make your fully commitment decision May 1st. So those deadlines kind of align with the CSU system. I also want to point out November 30th is the deadline, but if you want to get it in before, it's a really good idea. We always see the application glitches or something goes wrong at the UC level on November 30th, and you don't want to be a part of that. There's people that are panicking that the submit button didn't work, something like that. So I really recommend between November 1st and 30th, if you can get it in, but don't rush. Make sure you are filling it out thoroughly as you can and making sure that you're happy with how you submitted your answers to everything. Okay, and then just to connect with me, it's really hard virtually, I think, to stay connected with you all, but we're doing the best we can. Hopefully, we can travel soon. And actually, I know we're like close by, but they're still not allowing us to travel. So this is my personal landing page. That first link, admissions.ucsd.edu/K Martinez. You can make one-on-one advising appointments with me. Students are able to sit down with me and kind of, talk more personally about their situation so that I can better support you in your application or anything like that. My email's there. We do have our general office email, but you're probably going to get a response quicker from me, and I'll always send it out wherever it needs to go. And then that QR code, if you have your phone and you're interested in signing up to be on our mailing list, it'll let me know that you were here today. So then I know that you're possibly an interested student or family into UC San Diego, and then you'll be notified on any upcoming events that we may have. And I got a question in the chat. Great question. We are actually, the question was, do we have in-person tours at UC San Diego? They just opened up again this week. So they're filling out really fast. Let me put this in the chat because I don't think it's been like publicly announced that we're doing in person again. So there's that really long link. Definitely book as soon as you can because we do still have capacity on the tours, but they just came back. So definitely if you're able to come to campus, I recommend that. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Information. Thank you, Kaylee. At this point, that covers most of the information that we had. So we want to open it up to any questions parents might have. I think we're all adults, so we can just go one at a time here. So if anybody has a question, feel free to unmute yourself.
I just noticed there's a question in the chat. Is pre-calc required for engineering? I don't know if Maria and Kaylee you both want to answer that.
Yeah, so for SDSU, pre-calculus is not necessarily, it's not a prerequisite as a first-time freshman. If you were applying as a transfer student, on the other hand, then yeah, very likely you are going to need to complete some calculus courses. So it just really depends on the level. For high school seniors specifically, if you are applying into engineering, we do recommend that you have a senior level math course. So preference is going to be given to students that have that fourth year of math, specifically that senior year level math.
Yes, basically kind of same thing. If you're a transfer student, there is going to be prerequisites for major prep. But as a first-time freshman, it's really just about being as competitive as possible. And so if you know that you want to go into engineering or any type of STEM, we definitely recommend you take that fourth year.
So yellow ribbon is specifically for private institutions. And I know this because I used to work at a private institution. So since both SDSU and UC San Diego are state funded institutions, we're public universities. So I can speak on behalf of SDSU. We're a very military friendly school. We do have a military center on our campus where anyone can go get assistance on how to use their benefits, how to make the most out of their benefits. And they're awesome people in our Veterans Center. I would highly recommend that you talk to them if your student is planning to come to SDSU.
Hello, I have a question about the FAFSA application. I've heard that it's on a first come, first served basis. And then I saw that there's an information session on December 7th. So wondering, would that, at that point, how time critical would it be then, though, at that point?
So what the deadline for FAFSA, there's not really a deadline to be eligible for Cal Grants. So that's in-state aid that the state of California awards to students attending a California college, whether it's community, a public CSU or UC or a private four-year school. The deadline to be considered for Cal Grant is March 2nd. So there's a lot of time. As long as you have your W-2s in front of you, it's pretty easy to fill out the FAFSA. They really cleaned it up over the past several years. It's very user-friendly. There's a lot of help available for it. We used to do line by line financial aid nights, like line by line of the FAFSA, when it wasn't very user-friendly. And to be honest with you, they weren't very well attended. And we did some parent surveys and found that there was more interest in maybe funding college education for more middle income students. So that's why we kind of like leaned away from line by line FAFSA. So that's why we have a specific military financial aid night. So Renee, you should definitely attend that with your mom. That's where they'll go over yellow ribbon, Cal Vet, GI Bill and all that stuff. And then our big financial aid night in December, they talk more about like how to pay for college for all 4 years, how to use the FAFSA and how that works for you, how to find private scholarships. If your student is thinking about taking out loans, the pros and cons, and just kind of like a more overall financial health of how to plan to pay for college versus just focusing on what the FAFSA can provide. I think the earlier you could fill out the FAFSA, the better, because some colleges have deadlines for like upper level financial aid consideration, like University of Southern California wants it, submitted, I think by December 15th. So some of the more competitive private colleges just want to see it earlier. So I think the earlier the better. It used to not even open until January, February, and now it's open on October 1st. So I would take a look at the application. And like I said, it's pretty intuitive. As you fill it out, it will ask you if you have questions and give you a lot of help as you fill it out.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I'm not sure if y'all noticed, but I changed my name to my email address. So if you do have any questions for me specifically, I'd be happy to answer your questions via email. That's the fastest way to get in contact with me. So go ahead and jot down my email address if you'd like.
All right, last call, going once, going twice. Well, if there's anything that you guys missed, know that you can access this on the CHS Counseling Power School page. We'll probably have it up by tomorrow. So any other questions, please reach out to us. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight.
Thank you, Maria and Kaylee.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Great work, Morgan.